In the world bursting with opportunities, more and more women are pushing forward to build a successful career. And yet, in that journey, the strength and the essence of femininity can be overshadowed. So join us today. We're going to dive into the story of a powerful, ambitious, and independent woman who has successfully navigated through her career and also built a loving family. My guest today is Coach Casey, who is an entrepreneur, a speaker, an author, and a transformational coach. And not only that, she has a beautiful, meaningful relationship with her soulmate.
Mm.
So, welcome, Casey. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Anna. I mean, you did a great job. I don't think I have to say anything else. That was so wonderfully spoken, and it's like you just brought it all together in that experience. So thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate it.
You deserve it.
Mm,
You
Thank
deserve it. Yeah. So, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Mhm.
And I know you are on a mission to helping leaders, other women out there. Just give a little bit introduction.
Yeah, I mean, so there's people on your Facebook that are watching or on YouTube. There are people on mine. And it's like people kind of see bits and pieces of what I'm creating, but I definitely feel, yeah, the need to share exactly who I am and what it is that I'm actually building, right? So I really appreciate that question. So first and foremost, my mission is to really help people move from their head, essentially their head to their heart. And what that looks like is learning how to be courageous, how to be fearless in the pursuit of what actually aligns with you authentically. And what I mean by that is like there's so many things that in this world we're taught growing up that we should do, or we have to do this to be successful, or this is the perfect kind of man for you, or all these like shoulds everywhere, and everyone's just telling you what to do. So how do you actually know what's real for you? Like what does the universe want for you? What does God want for you? What does your truth want for your life, right? And I
Yeah.
think that we get scared. We get scared to actually look into that because we're not taught how. So when
Mm.
I work with my clients and the messages that I share and all the videos and things I talk about really question people's narrative of their reality. And I
Mm.
mean, sometimes it's really uncomfortable, the work that I do. To be quick, I'm going to be real, like I've pissed a lot of people off and I don't plan on stopping. But what happens is that their world gets shaken. And maybe for you watching, your world might get shaken today. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say a lot of
Mhm.
things that might really contradict what you've been told about relationships or what you believe. And so
Mm.
when your world gets shaken, the stuff
Mm.
that doesn't serve you falls away. And if you hold on super tight, it's going to be harder.
Mm.
But I help people let that go so their true self can emerge so that they can be their true light in the world. And then everything feels easier because you're stronger, because you're more resilient. So in a nutshell, that is the work that I do. That is my mission. And yeah, that's why we're here today.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear. And I agree, when I went through my biggest adversity in 2022, I realized a lot of things that I don't know, and I have to questioning myself. All of the belief that I accumulate, throughout my life, and questioning what do I really know in the relationship,
Yeah.
and give myself the permission to look inward to find the truth. So I'm with you on that journey. It's scary, but it's really worthwhile.
And I just want to just drop in there. You shared that you went through a really big adversity in 2022. For those of you listening that don't know, like Anna got left at the altar. Like I got like goosebumps as I say that because you have shifted and transformed so much as a person. Hearing your story, hearing you grow, and the message that you share with the world, it's like, it's crazy to me to think that. Like I'm like blown away by you. You were in love with this man, you were about to get married, and the day of your marriage is like gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
wow, wild, wild.
yeah. I mean, we can talk about that in another
Yeah, For sure.
episode
Yeah.
episode and we can dive into that story. But today, really, the theme of the conversation is how you actually manifest your soulmate in just today, right? So
Yeah, it's like real. Like I'm not even lying when I say 2 days. It was like that.
and that is wow, that is like mind blowing. So I'm curious, and I'm curious for on behalf of so many women out there, how, but before we dive into that, can you share with me, because I know you went through a journey of self-discovery before you actually get ready and feel ready to be able to meet your husband and cross a path and recognize him, he is your soulmate, right? So
Yeah.
bring us back to the period before you met him, and how did you actually discover yourself and your truth and find out what kind of relationship that you really want?
Yeah, and that's so key. I think that's such a good question because it's not so much, we'll definitely talk about how I met him in the moment, but yeah, it's like all of the beneath the surface stuff that people don't see, all the work that went in and the transformation to actually become the kind of woman I needed to become to meet that kind of man, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, like
That's the thing.
let's say like I met Cam 6 years ago tomorrow. So
Mhm.
August 12th is our anniversary. And it's like, if I met him 10 years ago and he was right in front of me,
Mhm.
there's no way I would have been ready. I wouldn't have known myself. I wouldn't have known him. And it's
Mm,
like we met at the perfect time because I knew what I wanted and I had
mm,
done the work to get to that level. And
mm,
anybody can do the work. It's not a matter of some people are more, able and some people have better resources. I think if you are like, I want to do that thing, whether it's a business, whether it's a relationship, having children, whatever that is, you can
mm.
literally do it. All you have to do is choose. And for me, just going back into my journey. So again, going to be totally transparent. Do I have that permission, Anna, to be really real today?
Go for it and be real. You
Yeah,
have full permission.
awesome. Thank you. So I grew up in a, and I love my parents. I'm going to preface that with I have grown to love and heal, but I grew up in a horrible childhood. Like it was very traumatic. And I know there are many people, in fact, so many people at different levels of abuse, whether it's spiritual, emotional,
Mhm,
physical, even demeaning your child, saying, giving them words of affirmation that are not true, not loving, neglect, any sort of that is still abuse. And it still impacts the child's ability to be confident, to see what love is for them, to feel worthy, right? So at some level, I feel like whether parents knew it or not, they did cause some sort of trauma. So it's not, I'm not saying like some are better than others or more intense. It's just, it can cause impacts, right? In how we see the
absolutely.
world. So yeah, I grew up in a household which was, my mom did her best. So my mom and dad fought a lot. There was a lot of violence, arguments. My parents were actually, they had an arranged marriage. So they never even knew each other before they got married. So that itself is traumatic, like just kind of growing up with that, not really seeing my parents kiss or show affection or what does love really look like. So I
Mm,
grew up with the belief that all relationships are unhealthy and violence and abuse and neglect are part of the normal. And so,
mm,
I know that if my parents are hearing this, it might be hard to hear as a parent, but it's that they did what they did. And from that, I got what I got as a human being and as a child. And what I realized was relationships are awful. There is no God. There is no point having children. I just remember growing up very bitter, very like, I'm going to just focus on what I need to do to build my career because I don't need no man. Like essentially like very the
mm,
stereotypical independence. So for me, I
mm,
was going to go to med school, I was going to have a really successful career, and I didn't need anybody or anything else because people and relationships meant pain. That
mm,
was the view of which I saw the world. And that was like essentially like confirmed every single day, seeing my family, right?
mm,
So
yeah.
So how did I go from that to now being 6 years in a really healthy, loving partnership, right? What ended up happening for me was that one day I went to a personal development course. And the way that I ended up there was pretty interesting. So I was at a coffee shop, and let me preface this by I didn't for a long time believe in the universe and signs and God. I thought it was all just nonsense. I'm like, yeah, right. Like if there was a God, I would not be suffering this much as a child. That was my belief, right? But
Mm.
as I grew and I got older and the synchronicities in my life started to appear, and it was like, whoa, there is an invisible force that loves me. And if I'm able to open my heart and see what's unfolding, it can do magic, right? So that's I need to preface that by what I'm about to say and everything in my relationship. Like the foundation is God and truth and love. And that on top of that, everything else is possible. So first, I'm at this coffee shop again, just hanging out there, doing some work. I was going to get into medical school. I was doing all this stuff, like super focused, right? Very, very like narrow-minded. And then I see the stranger, and he just like smiles at me. And I'm like, oh, hey, cool. Like we start talking. And this is not Cameron, by the way. This is a different stranger.
And by the way, Cam is
Cameron is
Casey's husband.
yes. So we start talking, and I tell him from my heart, like all of these dreams and ambitions I have for the world, and I want to travel and I want to help people, and I'm going to be a doctor. And I'm like, it's like flowing through me, right? And he's like, oh my God. He's like, you got to go do this program. I did it like 3 years ago. It changed my life. And immediately it was like something within my heart, my body was like, yes, like alignment, right? And for me, I didn't know at the time, but now I call it intuition. So
Mhm.
I was just like, oh, I gotta go. That was the next step, right? It was like, okay, that's the next step. I gotta go. So I go to this place downtown. I end up buying my ticket for the seminar. It's 3 days long. And I find all the money here and there. I make a payment plan. I get the program. I go there. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it starts. And on the Friday, I remember, so it's like 12 hours each day, 12, 14-hour days. So very long,
Mm.
transformational. You look at your life in all these different angles and perspectives. It is very confronting and triggering, but also really like heart centered. Like you can feel, wow, I'm shifting as a person. My beliefs are changing. So
Mm.
I show up there. Day one, massive, massive change. I think like 8 hours in, the seminar leader is talking about something called blind spots. And she's
Yeah.
like, you know, when you're driving down the road and you want to change lanes, you look, right? So, and if you don't look, sometimes you can hit other people or they swerve, and it's all bad, right? Accidents happen. But she's like, what about in your life? When you're making choices, when you're shifting lanes or, you know, moving in the direction in your life and choosing things, are you looking at what's in your blind spot? Are you
Mm.
looking at what could be there that is
Mm.
essentially like having you make these choices? And
Mm.
like I take it back to the car analogy. Like if you turn your signal on, right, to go right, and you
Mm.
look back and there's a car, you're not going to change lanes. You're just
No.
going to wait for them
Mm.
to pass and then change lanes. But in
Mm.
our life, we're just like swerving and trying to get all these places, but we're like bumping into everything, not sure what beliefs
Uh,
guiding us, right? So it was like Anna, like a light bulb moment. I was like, oh my God. And I saw what was in my blind spot was because my parents had had such a challenging relationship that I saw. I'm like, in
mm.
order for me to like come out of this trauma and essentially take this pain and turn it into something meaningful, I needed
Mm.
to sacrifice my life and make them happy. I needed to make sure I was a doctor, do what they said,
Mm.
that all of their sacrifice would be
Mm.
meaningful.
Mm.
That's a really dangerous place to make choices
Yes.
because, right? Like imagine I'm like 50
Yeah,
years
you
old.
you you are the tribe, but you feel like that burden and the
Yeah,
responsibility to make your parents happy and fulfill their dream. And sometimes their dream is not even your dream, right?
exactly.
Our
Exactly.
parents' dream and our own dream could be different. So I'm totally resonate with your journey, and thank you for sharing that, because I know that so many women out there, and somebody watching live at the moment, because all the belief that they have about the relationship and not feeling worthy of a loving relationship, it could come from their childhood. It could come from the model they got from their parents. And I come from a not similar background, but also, my parents didn't really have a loving, healthy relationship. They don't really show love and affection to each other. Um, so I certainly can resonate with your story and build all of that story in my head. And when I go through all of the transformation work, I need to peel all of that layer and give myself the permission to change the story, and that story and belief have to serving me, and that
Exactly.
changed everything.
And you got to heal that and forgive your parents. As much as, we hear this all the time, forgive your parents, but it's like you have to. Otherwise, you're going to literally manifest. If you're a
Yeah.
woman, you're going to manifest a man like your dad. If you're a man, you're going to
Mm,
manifest a woman like your mom,
yes.
because you're essentially trying to create relationship from a
Mm,
construct that you already have in your mind, which is what
mm,
you saw with your parents. And
yes.
in order to reframe that blueprint, you got to
Mm,
clear that energy, right? You have to
yes.
clear those tethers from your parents and
Yes.
feel that. And they
Yes.
still, like, parents often will do the best they can with the tools
Yes.
they have, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so it's like loving them unconditionally, and even though they may do things you don't agree with, just
Mm,
saying, you know what, I appreciate, and you can say this to yourself. You don't have to go
mm,
to them and say, I forgive you. You say this in
mm,
your heart, right? You're like,
mm,
Dad, Mom, I appreciate all you did for me to get me into the world. I'm grateful
mm,
I'm here. And now
mm,
I get to choose. So thank you.
mm,
Because
mm,
otherwise, if we don't do that, they're going to be in the
mm,
background,
mm,
medically, emotionally, whether they're alive or not,
mm,
like essentially having us make choices that might not be
mm.
the healthiest for us. So
No.
that's a huge part of finding the relationship that you want.
Mm,
Is,
mm,
are you trying to find a man or a woman,
mm,
right? Trying to find
mm,
a partner
mm.
or to fill a void because you
Yes.
think that your parents didn't love you, or are you finding a
Mm,
partner because you are whole and complete and
mm,
fine and you know yourself and you want someone to share that with? That is totally different intention and
mm. Yeah.
sense.
It makes sense. And one of the exercise we train as a transformational coach is to write a letter,
Yeah, total truth letter.
total true letter. Game changer. So if you're watching this video either live or you watch a replay, and if you go through the experience, similar experience with their childhood, and you still carry that story, we're gonna invite you to write a total truth letter to confront the fears, the challenge, the damage, the trauma you have with either your dad or your mom, but keep that to yourself. And at the end, can you say something like you can appreciate from that relationship and release all of that burden for you? You do that is not for your parents, but actually for you. And that healing is a requirement for you to release that emotional baggage so that you can be in a place of being healthy, clean as much as you can, so then you can attract the partner that you truly want to co-create a relationship that you desire, right?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I have a link that I send to my clients to do the total truth letter. I'm gonna just
Okay.
share it. You don't have to put your email or anything, but it's literally a write-up of like the total truth letter, how to do it, instructions. So if it
Mm,
calls to you, people can do it. And then we can also share this link like on wherever else. But I
okay.
will drop that right now because we are live.
Uh-huh.
It's good to give people that opportunity. So let me see here.
Sure.
Copy link. Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna drop it in the chat here. And yeah, I just dropped it in the chat for the Facebook Live.
Okay.
And then we'll share it around as well, so you guys can do it.
Okay.
But there,
Perfect.
releasing
Okay.
emotions, releasing your parents, releasing the baggage, clearing that karma is one step.
One
Step
step.
one.
Step one.
20 minutes in, step
Step
one,
one.
trusting your partner.
Okay. So
So
let's move to the next step.
there you go. So phase one is, I grew up in a not so healthy environment, healed that to the best of my ability, because we're always healing, always peeling the onion, but I had a willingness to heal that. Okay. Then the next part was, okay, now that I have clarity on letting the beings that gave birth to me, letting them just, be their own energy and I'm my own energy. Now, what do I do? Who am I? So let's go back to that story of that day that I was at the seminar. So I see in that moment, like just flashing, like, oh my God, Casey, what's been in your blind spot is you have been living for everybody else except yourself. You've been trying to be the perfect daughter, the perfect student, the perfect everything. But that's such a mask. It's such a fake life. It's such a facade and inauthentic, but pretending. Because here's the thing that people didn't know. I was being all this perfect person, doing everything right, medical school, good grades, not, dating and all that stuff. And then at night, I'm like going home and smoking pot. Like,
Wow.
what a interesting, dynamic to be like this A player, like doing well with pressure out in the public eye. So think
Right.
you're in corporate or you have a intense job, right? You could probably relate, like super intense, and you show up and you're like, yes, I can do it. I'm the boss. I'm the woman, right? Like the superwoman. But then at night, are you numbing yourself? Are you medicating
Wow.
with alcohol, drugs, movies? Like, what are you using to release pressure that you put onto yourself to look a certain way out in the world?
Wow.
Right? Like, I'm gonna let that land for people. That is
That
an
is
intense thing to say.
intense. And it's very, I would say that it's very vulnerable for you to share this to people. Because yeah, it's true. We have so many roles to play, right? We have so many roles to play. But at the end of the day, I believe that the self-respect is come from how do you actually show up to yourself when there's nobody around?
Yeah.
Because you are with you 24/7. So you can pretend to be a superwoman to whoever at work, in life, in a friendship, in family, but you cannot hiding from yourself.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like you go to work and you come home, and are you okay being alone? Are you okay sitting with yourself and looking in the mirror and being like, you know what, I love you. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Mhm,
Or are
mhm,
you distracting and doing everything you can to avoid being with your feelings and being with your emotions? Because I know so many people that do that, and there's nothing, it's not like wrong to do that. It's just awareness. Are you doing that? And
mhm,
are you doing it because you're scared to see yourself? Are you doing
mhm,
it to avoid emotional pain? Are you doing it because you're scared of what you'll see or find? Right? Because in that space, if we're trying to manifest or create a relationship, you're only going to perpetuate what your parents did. You're only going to perpetuate what the narrative that you saw. You're only going to perpetuate that which you're creating from. So if you
mhm,
are not able to see yourself and really love and align with yourself, and whatever, all the flaws, all the imperfections you have, if you cannot see them and look at them and say, you know what, it's okay, I got you, then how can you expect somebody else to come in, be able to say that they love you and actually like receive that love? You can't.
mm. Oh my God, I love that so much. I want to repeat that again because it's so important. It to feel worthy to receive the love.
Yeah. You have to be worthy yourself. Otherwise, you cannot receive that love from anybody else. I'll give you a quick example. So and again, this is a work in progress, right? Like Cameron and
Mhm.
I over the last 6 years have evolved a lot together.
Yeah.
This person that you're seeing today was not the woman, the girl 6 years ago. I just needed to know enough to say, yes, you're the one. And then the journey began at a new level, right? But what I saw and an example is like, let's say that he's telling me, I'm really proud of you. He says, oh, I'm really proud of you. For a long time, I couldn't accept that because I'm like, what are you proud of me for? And that's really
Wow.
hard, right? Like, how can I accept him being proud of me if I'm not proud of me
Mm.
first?
Mm. Huge.
He cannot fill a void within me. And I think
Mhm.
that's the challenging thing for so many relationships is that like people try to take relationships and fill a hole with those relationships.
Mm.
And that's
Mm.
super unhealthy. It just
Mm.
sets the foundation for even more trauma, more hardship. What happens when you
Yeah.
have children? What are you perpetuating? What kind of love are
Mm.
you creating, right?
Mm.
So yeah,
Wow. I love it. I think, we can even go deeper, or we can do another episode
I know.
about how to feel worthy of receiving the love, the compliments from other people, especially from the romantic partner,
Yeah, that's huge.
right?
So
That's
huge.
huge.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that another day.
Okay, so we'll go
So,
back to step two.
next
Okay, so
step.
figuring out
Okay.
yourself. So I see this moment. Oh my God, like I've been living life for everybody else. So I go back home that evening and I'm sitting with my mom and I'm like crying, like, like just bawling. Because when you see something and you're just everything's like coming out. So I remember saying to her, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I am so tired of living for everybody else. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm like, I'm not going to med school. I'm not doing what you want me to do. I love you, but I need to do what I need
Wow.
to do. And she's like,
Wow.
oh my God. She's like, so what are you going to do? And I don't even know in that moment. I'm like, I'm just going to travel and write. And she's like, okay, sounds good. Like from, oh, she's going to be a doctor to she's just going to be like a hippie traveling the world and writing. Like that's really like so
Wow.
for her it was just very confronting, right? But I had to just do that for me. So what did I do? I ended up setting an intention and I'm like, okay, for 1 year, I'm going to really focus on getting to know myself. For the past 20, 25 years or whatever, I was like, I'm not like, I felt like in that moment that I had neglected who I was
Right.
to basically please everybody else. So I didn't even know like what do I like, what do I not like, what excites me, what do I, what irritates me. But I knew in my heart there was this longing to travel. And
Mm.
so here's the thing, right? Like I told you, going back to when you are clear or even have one intention of what's the next step for you, all of a sudden, this invisible force, divine creation, God, the universe comes in and meets you and helps you go the next step.
Right.
So I'm at a friend's house and I'm just like talking to him and I'm feeling like a bit confused. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I just want to travel. And he's like, where do you want to go? And intuitively, I didn't even think about this. My heart was just like, I want to go to Peru. And he's like,
Mm.
okay. He's like, so how much does the ticket cost? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I didn't do any of this research. So he's like, search it up. So I'm on my computer. I'm like, oh, one-way ticket, like just playing around, like one-way ticket, Monday, May 1st, it was 2017. And I'm like looking and he's like, how much is it? And it was like $500 or something. And at the time I was like recovering from debt and I was not spending money. I'm like, no, I'm very focused, right? Not spending money. And he goes, book it. And I'm like, no, are you crazy? I'm like, I can't book this ticket. I have all of these excuses, all my limiting beliefs. I can't, blah, blah, blah. Even though backtrack, I'm like, for 1 year, you're gonna know yourself. And then God's like, okay, you want to know yourself, go to Peru. And in that moment, right, the humanness, God bless our human heart, but our human is just like, no, I'm scared. I can't. What do you mean? So I'm like freaking out. And he goes, he takes out his credit card out of his pocket and he puts it down and he's like, book it.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. And Anna, I can't even tell you. I like logically, I don't remember my brain like typing. Like I don't remember typing anything. I just was like, it was like something was flowing through me, moving my fingers. I was like clicking, and then all of a sudden I hit book. And it was
Wow.
like in that moment that I hit
Yeah.
that submit, it's like
Mm.
everything from that point
Mm.
changed, right?
Right.
It's
Okay.
like when you say yes to getting married, all of a sudden you start
Mm.
picking the date, picking the venue,
Mm.
everything changes in relation to that
Mm.
choice. So it was,
Yes.
I put a stake in the ground for me. I made the
Mm.
choice. God
Mm.
helped me with it. I didn't even have to book the ticket. Like I didn't
Mm.
pay for any of it. It was just done. All I
Mm.
had to do was I had 60 days to
Mm.
take my life and show up to that terminal and board that flight.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so that is phase two. And we can get into
Yeah.
details about how that happened, but phase two
Yeah.
is you gotta know yourself. So phase one is heal your relationship,
Your, yes.
heal your parents, do the total truth letter, like heal that, right? Set that intention. Then phase two is know thyself, like get to know yourself, date yourself. Who are you?
Yes.
Go on a trip with yourself, right? Surrender. What does that look like? Play, create. So yeah, that's phase two.
Yeah.
Questions? Anything you
I,
want to
I,
dissect?
I couldn't stop laughing because it was so, it's funny, but also at the same time is profound. And I love this piece because I want people to get it.
Mhm.
You pray to universe or God, whoever you want to call it, right? Please show me the way. Please give me the sign. Give
Yeah.
me the answer. You pray for it. And then God or universe deliver to you. Go to Peru. But then you freaking out. You say,
I'm
no,
like, no, I didn't really mean that.
I didn't. How can I get the money? But you pray for it. Now it's delivered to you. And
Yeah.
if you don't receive it, you go back to the familiar. You go back to the same old story, same old sound. And that old sound, that old story create the outcome that you don't want, right? So
Yeah.
in that moment, it's so scary, but you have to confront with your old self and have to take the this the leap. You have to take the leap of faith into the unknown and give that permission or opportunity for yourself to discover who you really are, right?
You gotta have the courage. And you don't have to have a lot of courage, but just maybe even the tiniest amount. Enough courage.
And
Enough.
not the
That's it.
courage.
You don't have to be like know it
Go to
all.
Peru.
Yeah, that's my version of what it looked like for me.
Yes,
You can
yes.
take that and say, what does that look like for you? What is
Mm,
version for you, right? Is it taking a
mm,
weekend away? And honestly, if it is going to Peru and being there for 6 months or 3 months and traveling on your own, do it.
mm,
I tell everybody, I'm like, you want to find your soulmate? Great. Go be with yourself for at least 90 days without
mm,
anybody telling you this and that. Just
mm, mm,
be
mm.
yourself, and you'll realize that no matter where you go, there you are.
Right. Okay. And I want to go to step three, but I want to go a little bit deeper in here is because it's so important for people to get it.
Mhm,
Because you receive the message because you listen to
mhm,
your inner voice
right.
and that you call intuition.
Yeah.
But I know for like personally in the past, I'm scared to listen to that inner voice because it's telling me something I don't want to hear. It tells me to do something that's so scary.
Your truth is never convenient. It's never like, yeah, that's totally in alignment with my plan. Yeah, it's like a complete different direction.
It's just so scary. So
Yeah.
what would you say to people? Number one, to cultivate themselves to listen to their
Mhm.
inner voice. They have to be able to listen to their inner voice. And number two, to receive that message or wisdom or guidance. And number three is to take the leap of faith into that direction. What would you say?
Yeah. Well, Something that I recently heard, which really shifted the way I think about how protected and nurtured I am and loved I am by the universe, was from a mentor of mine. And he shared with me just last weekend, he's like, Casey, when you were in your mother's womb, right? Like, look at how like brilliant like the universe is, how brilliant creation is. A
Mm,
sperm and an egg meet and they create a baby. Now this baby is like this adult human, and look at you, right? Like, we were all created from this tiny, tiny explosion of creativity, creation. And then all of a sudden, 9 months, you're growing in your mother's womb. Your mother is not like, oh, put the eyes over here. Okay, put the ears here. Oh, I need to know how to build a human heart. Oh my God, is the liver working? I hope their arms work. But like, the mother just needs to show up. All she needs to do, get up, do her 1%, feed herself, do what she needs to do to make sure that the baby is held in this water. And that's it. And then when it's time, she doesn't really even need to do anything. It comes out. She pushes a little, or, someone cuts open her belly and the baby's out, and then her body heals. So he's like, do you think that that divine force that created you to have 2 ears and 2 eyes and a nose and a mouth, everything perfectly created as you are, is going to, once you come out of the womb, leave you? Do you think that you're going to just be abandoned and not loved, and there's still no force of creation, no God that's actually with you still? Do you think you're just now alone? He's like, that's the challenge. We think
mm,
that the magic ends right there. But,
mm,
but seeing a child being born is so magical, because you're like, who created how did this happen, right? And so
mm,
that's the very essence of life and creation, no matter what you're creating, whether it's you're like, I want to create my perfect divine relationship,
mm,
then let the universe work and
mm.
listen.
I
And
love it.
you don't need to know everything. Like, I didn't
Mm.
know everything. I didn't, like, you'll hear about how I met Cam, but I wasn't like, okay, Cam, universe, make sure Cam shows up at this time at this thing,
No.
drive his car, make sure, put it in his calendar. I didn't have to worry about that. I just
Mm.
listened and I showed up. And
Show
and
up.
when you start to nurture yourself, like when I was in Peru, right, to go deeper into listening to that intuition, when I was in Peru, I it was like the ultimate surrender intuitive experience for me. It was like, I'm not going to have any plans. I'm not going to book
Mm,
stuff and be very, I'm just going to let my intuition lead me and see what happens. And I was
mm,
there backpacking for 3 months, always in the right time, at the right place. When things seemed hard, I cried it out. I wrote about it. I let go. I trusted, even when things seemed bad. Like this one time, I was working at this hostel and I was going to be a bartender. And so, in exchange for room, right? So I was like, not sure how to make money there. We didn't have the whole working online thing then, but I was like, okay, I'll just do work exchanges. I'll figure it out along the way. So I'm like working at this hostel and it sucks. Like, it is awful. And I'm like washing dishes. It's just gross. And I remember washing dishes, and in my head, I started complaining. And I remember saying to myself, or this voice said to me, you chose this. And when I heard that, it was like oh, I chose this. I chose
mm,
to wash dirty dishes. I chose to be here. So it's okay.
mm,
So I surrendered rather than
mm,
complaining and being like,
mm,
like wrestling with it. I just let
mm,
go and said, I chose it. I'm here. It's my
mm.
choice. It's all good.
Yeah.
Night after cleaning dishes, I was like, okay, you know what? I want to go to a yoga class. So I go to a yoga class. I found this place. I'm in a new area. I start walking around. I find these people at this yoga studio, and I start talking to them, and I'm like, oh, it turns out I actually missed the yoga class. I came later. So, but anyways, I ended up there, and I said to them, I'm like, oh, are you guys looking for any help? Do you need any help to support you with work exchanges or whatever? And they're like, actually, we're looking for somebody to manage our Airbnb. You get this beautiful room, you get to live here for free, and all you do is manage the bookings. And I'm like,
Mm,
oh. And they're like, oh, yeah, the guy's leaving tomorrow who's managing it currently. And I'm like, okay. So I leave, he shows me everything and he's like, okay, so you can come tomorrow. I'm like, great. So as I'm leaving, I end up
Mm,
twisting my ankle. Okay. So I
mm,
like fall and it's like this weird step and I twisted my ankle. And I just remember the thought that I had before I twisted my ankle was, oh my God, how am I going to quit my other job at the bar? Because
mm.
I have a commitment there. And now I just accepted this job. How am I going to manage this? But then right after I twist my ankle. And after I twist my ankle, I start walking home, like limping back to my other house. And
Right.
immediately it was, oh my God, I can't be a bartender if I twisted my ankle.
Perfect accident.
And then I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Even though it seemed bad, it was like
Ah,
exactly what I asked for in a way that I didn't expect, right? And that's
mm,
what I get here too, is when you ask for guidance, when you ask for your partner, you ask for the thing, expect it to be unexpected. Don't tell the creator I need it this time, this place, because
no,
you don't know.
you don't know. Yes. Oh my God,
Like
I love it so much.
our human mind, as much as it's amazing, can
Uh-huh.
create on its own to that
Yeah.
potential. You don't know, right?
No.
Go back to the bar. I'm like, hey, sorry, I can't work anymore. I twisted my ankle. They're like, okay. So I leave the next day. I go to this place, and so many more miraculous story of meeting the right people and this and that. And then I'm like moving through the process of listening to my intuition, right? That muscle is getting stronger. So
Mm,
then I intuitively knew around mid-August or the first week of August 2017, I had this feeling. I'm like, I gotta go home now, like back to Toronto.
mm.
And it was about
August,
90 days.
August 2017.
Yes. So
So,
it was like August 4th or 5th.
right.
And
So
I
you
was like,
spent that 3 months in Peru?
yeah, alone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 months backpacking, learning about myself, learning my intuition, like actually learning to listen and
Mm,
feel that inner voice.
mm. Yes.
And I also saw what happened when I didn't listen to that inner voice, right?
Mm,
Like, oh, okay, like you start to, it's like a compass. If you
mm,
don't know how to handle a compass, you don't know how to read a compass, how can
mm,
you know which way to go, right? So,
mm,
so many people are out just wandering in the world trying to figure it out. But it's like, if you just sat there and whether
mm,
you want to meditate every day or you want to take yourself out of the environment and go
mm,
off in new environments, all
mm,
of a sudden your truth, your voice, your heart will start to speak to you. Actually,
mm,
it's always been speaking to you, but everything else
mm.
is loud. So you got to
Yes.
give it space to listen.
Mm,
So that's
mm,
exactly what I did, but I didn't realize I was doing it, 6
mm.
years ago.
Yeah.
That was what I needed to do to have
Right.
this conversation with you 6 years later.
6 years later. So I love this so much because I think um we have such a gift or the present from universe or God, you call
That
it,
was what I
to,
needed to do.
to deliver that message or guidance for you. But Casey, as Casey beautiful said, like you need to practice and build the muscle and give yourself the permission to listen to your inner voice and kind of experimenting with that, because sometimes it can mixing up with the voice from your mind, and anything from our mind is to protect, right? The anything from our mind is kind of protect us from the failure and all of that scarcity mindset, and it's not gonna helping us to um how can I say, live the life beyond our dream. So give yourself the permission to practice, and that's okay. Sometimes you misread, sometimes you you take a wrong direction, and it's okay. It's part of the journey. It's part of the process.
Exactly. Like, what's scarier?
Mm.
Living a life that you're like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do for the next 60 years and being safe. Or
Mm.
is that, because that sounds really scary to me, to be completely honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those people listening, they're like probably in the same boat, right? So
Mm.
what's scarier? Is it staying there and knowing, okay, this is exactly it? Or
Mm.
is it scarier to just like trust and just
Mm.
see and have fun and experiment with life? So
Mm.
I just like, it's like the fear of regret for me is like way higher than
Mm.
fear of like discomfort. Like, yeah, I'm going to be uncomfortable. If I'm
mm,
living in a shitty situation, I'm
mm,
uncomfortable. If I'm
mm,
unhappy, if I'm alone, if I'm single, if I'm complaining, I'm like blah, blah, blah all the time about my life,
mm,
I'm
mm,
uncomfortable. So do I want to
mm,
keep doing that? Or do I
mm,
actually want to be uncomfortable in discovering
mm.
myself and have the glimpse of more happiness, right? Because this one here, you only know what you know, and you're
Yes.
only going to get as far as you know, and that's it.
Mhm,
And a lot of
mhm,
people live there, and that's in your
mm,
comfort zone, and that's okay.
mm,
But
mm,
if you want something else, then you're gonna have to will it. You have to be willing to ask yourself, like, what's at stake? What's more
mm,
important to me? What do
mm,
I want? Because
mm,
trust me, it's a process finding and attracting a high value man and
mm,
becoming that high value woman, right? And aligning with that energy. But then
mm.
it's also a process keeping that relationship. That's a whole different level, right?
Yes. Yes.
We can't just be like, yes, check mark, I got him, and that's it. It's like,
And that's it.
oh,
No,
buddy,
that's
now
just
the
the
work starts.
beginning.
Now it's
Now
like,
the
you
real
thought
work
that,
start.
right? Like you
Exactly.
thought that was work.
Uh,
Like, okay,
oh my God.
you're on your own, and now you're two people who are conscious creating. Oh my God,
Uh-huh.
whole different. And then you have children in the equation, and oh my God, in-laws, like it's a whole other level. So
Uh-huh.
single right now, amazing. And you're hearing this, use the time to work on yourself, grow your foundation, right? Listen to your
Uh-huh.
truth, because it's not going to get easier when you're in a relationship.
No, it's not gonna get easier. And if you don't, oh my God, I spent like I spent over 1 year being by myself after 5 years and in a long-term relationship.
Mhm.
And I can tell, that is the most transformative period of my life.
Yeah.
Like I just transformed to a complete different woman and discover like the most amazing, loving relationship with myself. And I look at the mirror every day and say, I love you. And thank you for being so brave, being so courage to choose yourself. And that is a sacred journey because at the end of the day, I think that um, we would say, other relationship come and go for many reasons, right? And even in this is what I learned from Louise Hay, and she said, even in the most fulfilling, loving relationship, one of the partner can end up passing away, and then we still need to learn to love and be content with ourselves. So the most important and lasting relationship is a relationship you have with yourself.
Yeah. And it's the most challenging to create because there's always something outside of you that is like easier to, oh, let me just work on that. Let me do that. It's like, and the reason I talk about that briefly here is because like even with women who have had children that are now grown and leaving the nest, that's a whole other level too. Like you've just given 30 years or whatever to these children, and now they're gone. What is your
Mm,
purpose? What is your value?
mm,
Or if your
mm,
partner leaves the earth, or if your partner leaves you, then all of a sudden,
mm.
who are
Yeah,
you?
who
Right?
are you?
And it
Yeah,
can be really hard living life not knowing yourself and then always having
mm,
an excuse to
mm,
avoid knowing yourself. Oh, I don't
yes.
have enough time. I don't have
Mm,
enough time off work. Oh,
mm,
this is not good time. It's like, really, I'm going to call you out with love, but there is never going to
mm.
be a good time to
Nope.
get to know yourself. In
Uh,
fact, everything in the world is going to show up as a distraction. People are
Mm,
not going to like you. People are going to get
mm,
upset because you're choosing yourself.
mm,
And
mm,
they only know you as someone who's blocked. They only know you as a people pleaser. So all of a sudden, when you start to take your power and stand
mm,
up and say, who am I? Whoa. And you notice the power and energy you have, get
mm,
ready because it's like a lot of criticism and all that will come.
mm,
But
mm.
you got to know you. It's way
Yes.
harder to live in this world and not know yourself because there's so much sadness and grief,
Mm,
guilt associated with
mm.
that.
Yeah.
Don't realize.
Mm. Wow. And I want to move to the next three,
Yeah.
but let me sum up with this statement because I really want to encourage, the audience, or could be women who are in the crossroad, and they're thinking, which way should I go? They don't know what is the next step for them, right? And don't have enough courage to take the step forward and take the leap of faith into the unknown. So my brother gave me a very powerful statement the other days, and he said, the best day to plant the tree is 20 years ago. Second best day to plant the tree is today.
Right now. Yeah. Yeah. It's so, so true because yeah, maybe you haven't done it for the last how many years, but you can do it now. You
You
can
can
do
do
it
it
now.
now.
It doesn't have to be like you got to pack up and leave, but if that's what you need, do it. If you're like, you want to get out of an unhealthy relationship, that's what you need, do it. You need to quit this job that isn't serving you, do it. You need to, if something small that you can do to claim
Mm,
power and start listening to your intuition is like, an example I give is like, let's say you go to a coffee shop and they give you the wrong order, right?
mm,
Do you just take that order and say, oh, well, or do you go back and just kindly be like, hey, actually, I asked for almond milk instead of dairy, something
mm,
simple, because most people are like, oh, I'm not worthy. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. I don't want to be up, or
mm,
oh, sorry. But it's like, the more you do that, like, how do you
mm.
expect yourself to be bold and courageous and
Yes,
strong-hearted to find a
yes,
healthy relationship, right? So like,
yes.
try that, little things where you start to almost like shrink, see if
Mm,
you can like open up and stand tall a little bit more in those
yes.
moments. Yeah.
Love it. Oh my God. I think we need to move to the next three. Otherwise, it's gonna the conversation can last 10 hours
I
or
think
more.
you're all afternoon. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So,
Okay. So phase one, heal your relationships with your parents. Total truth letter. Phase two is heal your relationship essentially with yourself. And how you
yeah.
do that is you start to take more actions to really stand up for yourself, to say, okay, I'm in charge of my life. What do I want to create? Right? Set those intentions. Go on a trip. Do whatever your heart calls you to do. Step three is then actually being ready to like receive, being ready, because now you've healed your relationship with your parents, so you're not looking for unhealthy partners. You're also not looking for people subconsciously like your parents. You then build step two. It's like a staircase, right? You then
Mhm.
are like, okay, well, I know myself. I know, or a little bit, you don't need to fully yourself, but at least enough to know when something feels good or something feels not good. You have kind of tuned into your inner compass. Your intuition is working.
Mm,
You turn on the
mm,
mirror. Now, when you meet a man or you're asked to go to an event or you do something, all of a
mm,
sudden you have a foundation on which to receive. So it's like a
mm.
hit, like you're just like, if you see somebody, you're like a hit, it's like, no, that person's not for me. Because your intuition will tell you, right?
Uh-huh.
You can
Uh-huh.
experience, Anna. I think we talked about this 6 months ago. I said, try it. Tune in and see
Uh-huh.
what person
Yes.
aligns and what doesn't.
Mhm,
You don't know.
mhm,
And
mhm.
if it's not a yes today, it's probably not going to be a yes tomorrow.
Yeah.
Really. So
Mm.
many women are like, oh, he's a nice guy. I'll give him a shot. Okay, yes, he's a nice guy, but is he a passionate, romantic lover,
Mm,
the father of your
mm,
children?
mm, mm,
Different, different,
mm, mm,
right?
mm,
And when you're out dating and you're looking in the world, are you looking for just dates, or are you
mm,
looking for your man? What do you
mm.
you got to know,
Yes.
right?
Mm,
If you're giving mixed signals to the universe and he
mm,
shows up, Mr. Right, and you're like, oh, I'm
mm,
just dating, and he's looking for his woman,
mm,
he could be your soulmate, but doesn't mean anything if you're not clear about what you need.
mm. Yeah.
So let's go to what actually happened, right? So you hear that now?
I'm so curious because you said you manifest your soulmate in 2 days. So tell us about it.
Exactly. And I love, see, I said this at the beginning where it's like all of the behind the scenes work that goes behind that. It's like
Mm.
55 minutes into our conversation and we haven't even gotten to the 2 days part, right? It's like, this is the juice though. This is the stuff that people want to see that often they don't see, right? So
Uh-huh.
I go to Peru, you know about that. I had a feeling, I came back home. It was like August 4th or 5th. And I was just like, okay, I'm back in Toronto now. Like, what am I doing? I'm like, okay, I'm here. Okay, I trusted my intuition. Now what? So the next step was there was this seminar at that same seminar place
Mm.
that I did originally. There was a new seminar and it was starting literally on August 10th, which is a
Wow.
okay. So August 10th. Whoa, that's so crazy. Tomorrow's August 12th and it's a Saturday. And 6 years ago, it was also a Saturday.
Wow.
Huh, interesting. Just
Interesting.
I just realized that. That's so cool. So it was August 10th. So yes,
Right.
6 years ago.
Yesterday, 6 years ago.
And so the seminar, day one, was starting. And the name of the seminar was Living Your Extraordinary Life. And I'm
Okay.
like, wow, that sounds really exciting.
Very exciting.
You know what? I'm back in Toronto. Let's get back in the community. So I register for that. So I show up on August 10th. Thursday, August 10th. And the seminar leader says, you know what, in this seminar, because it was session number 1, they're like, in this seminar, I want you guys to think of something that you have never really thought about creating intentionally before. He's like, maybe in other seminars, you've been doing kind of the same thing. And for me, I was always like money, career, like business,
Mhm.
right? Like I got to create my empire, like very intense. And so that was what I was trying to work on. But this seminar, he's like, do something different. And there's like 100 people in the seminar and we have partners beside each other. And he's like, do something new. What is something
Mm.
new? And I'm like, huh. So I'm sitting there, right? And I had just, experienced 3 months in Peru. I wasn't really looking for a relationship, but I had met a lot of men on my journey. And I realized
Mm.
what I liked and what I didn't like. It was like I had this mental kind of list of
Mm.
this is the qualities because I had
Right.
experienced other men that didn't have that quality. And I'm like, no, 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 I don't want that. I don't want that.
Mm. Mm-mm.
Clear. So, but when he asked that question, it kind of brought up that clarity within me. I didn't realize I was clear until he asked the question. And so at
Mm.
that moment, my answer was immediately, I'm like, oh, a relationship. I'm like, I want a relationship. I've
Mm.
never thought about intentionally creating one before. And so
Mm.
I looked at my partner and we had to declare, not just, oh, this is what like,
Ah,
you stand,
declare.
you say,
Wow.
like, this is what I am affirming, this is what I'm creating.
Uh-huh.
You already have it. So I'm like, I am creating a juicy, compassionate, romantic relationship with responsibility. That's like what I said word for word, and
Wow.
it's glued into my brain because I like felt it in my body. And it was an
Mm.
affirmation, a declaration, but
Mm.
it was backed by
Mm.
all the work I had done. I
Mm.
was just looking in the mirror saying, I want a healthy, you know, like there.
Yeah.
So I felt the resonance.
Felt, and it's come from the knowingness, and you
Yes,
claim that is for me, right? This
yes,
is what is for me. Yeah.
exactly. So I was like, this is what I want. And then
Mm.
that's it. I was relaxed. I went, okay, whatever.
Mm.
I didn't even think about it. We left the seminar. My friend and I hung out for a bit. The next day, Friday, the 11th. So today, 6 years,
Today, 6 years ago.
I literally, Anna, I kid you not, I spent all day sitting in bed watching Netflix. Like, I didn't even like I think I binge watched like Heroes or something, the show years ago, for like 10 hours. I just did nothing. I relaxed in bed, didn't think about anything, relaxed. And then the next day, there was a boat cruise, and I said I was going to go. I had said yes, RSVP on Facebook. I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll show up. Maybe I won't. But at that morning, I woke up and I had the thought. I was like, oh, maybe I could just binge watch Netflix again. I was like, that sounds like fun. I don't have to get dressed up. I don't have to get on the subway. Ugh, so much work, right? And I'm like, something within me is like, no, just go, just go. I'm like, okay. But I didn't force myself. I just kind of played around, right?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know I was going to meet Cameron that day. I
Right.
didn't have it planned out, but I was
Mhm.
just like, okay. So I'm like, put on my red dress, get pretty, go on the subway, go to the boat cruise. And the pull really for me was, oh, I'm going to meet a lot of my friends I haven't seen in like 3 months, right? So I
Mm.
bright, beautiful day. I'm on this boat with my friends. And on this boat, there's no drugs, there's no alcohol. So
Mm.
everybody's sober. And this is really important because I
Mm.
met Cameron when I was sober. Like we did not meet at a club. We didn't meet while
Mm.
drinking. We didn't meet doing things that shifted our consciousness. We met
Right.
in a high vibrational state, which was
Mm.
we were clear, right? And that's
Mm.
really important. And I'll speak to that in a minute, but that's super important because it was like I was happy, sober, and meeting him. And then that continued because it was like I trusted myself, right?
Mm.
I often like, I don't know, for just in my younger days or whatever, it's like I don't know who can relate, but you meet someone and you're drunk and you're like, oh, they're so amazing.
Mm.
And then they're not. Like they're
Oh,
but you're
that
just a different consciousness because you're not
mm.
yourself, you're not sober, right?
Mm.
So that's really important. That was key. It was like I met him in a healthy environment, right?
Mm.
So we could build something. So, anyways, so I get on this boat and I'm like with my friend, and she's like, oh, let's go take photos. And so I go to the back and we're taking photos, and I'm like posing. She's taking photos of me. And then there's this man who's kind of like a couple, like 6, 7, 10 feet away from me. And he has like this really big camera and he's taking photos. And I think he's like the boat photographer. You know how like at events, there's like event photography. So
Mm.
I think, oh, he's taking photos of the event. So I'm just like posing and smiling, like, thank you.
That's so
I'm
cute.
I'm just having fun. I'm not looking for anything, right?
Uh-huh.
And Anna, like he literally like puts down his camera and right and like because I'm seeing him through the camera right now, but I can't really see his eyes, so but he can see me. And then he
Mhm.
puts on his camera and it was like instantly like our eyes connected and it was like, oh, there you are. Like that was the feeling, the
Mm.
intuition within my body, with my heart, the
Mm.
muscle I had flexed in Peru, the knowing of yes, no, yes, no. But
Mm.
this yes was like a magnetic, like yes, 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 like God, like there's the person we've been
This
waiting.
is you. This is
Oh,
you. This you.
you're here. Yeah. And I totally believe
Uh-huh.
in soul contracts. So
Right.
what it means is that before we come into our bodies, right? And people may not believe this, and that's okay. But this is my
Mm.
truth. When we come into our bodies, before our souls have agreements. So whether we have challenging agreements or loving agreements, like
Mm.
for example, my father and I, really challenging relationship, but at some level we agreed in the soul world of, okay, Casey, I'm going to be really like hard to deal with and you're going to need to learn and
Mm.
navigate this to learn the lessons in this life. But with
Mm.
soulmate, right, it's like this,
Mm.
okay, we're going to meet at this
Mm.
time on this day and you just got to do the work to be ready to meet at this moment. And I'm getting
Mm.
goosebumps because it's like that's what it felt like. It was like we had both done the work, we listened to the intuition,
Mm.
we met at the moment we were supposed to meet, no sooner, no later, and boom,
Mm.
it was just like a there you are, like a
Mm.
soul knowing. And that's where the term for me, at least soulmate, comes from. Is
Mm.
it's not a, oh, I think you're my soulmate, I guess,
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
okay. No, it's like a, oh, whoa, what just happened here? Oh my God, there
Mm.
you are. Okay, are you ready?
Mm.
Let's go.
Mm.
Next step of our life. So
Mm.
we met, and the next day, like, and instantly I already knew. I'm like, whoa, like what is this feeling? And it took time for my brain to catch up, but I already
Mm.
knew I loved him, and he already
Mm.
knew too. And for people that are like, I don't believe in fairy tales, I don't believe in that,
Mm.
that's okay. You
Mm.
don't have to. But
Mhm.
when you experience it and when you allow that love into your heart and you experience
Mm.
it, you'll know. Because believe me,
Mm.
before then, I wasn't like all
Mm.
like hung up on that. But
Mm.
when I experienced it because I had done the work to know
Mm.
when it was like my intuition kicked in,
Mm.
it was like immediate, like, yes.
Mm.
So that was really, really the moment. And then the next day
Wow.
we said, I love you. And that's it. Like, it's been 6 years. And,
Mm.
from then we've had a lot of hardships. At one point we
Mm.
broke up, then we got married, and all this stuff happened. But
Mm.
we're still clear that, like,
Mm.
we're meant to be on this path together, and we keep growing and elevating.
Right.
There you go. That's phase 3. Trust,
Wow.
receive.
Wow. I mean, that is a lot to digest, but
Mhm.
also it's eye-opening to, and it's powerful to hear that story, like when you're actually doing the work, healing the past, healing the trauma, working on yourself, preparing yourself to be able to ready to receive in that moment
Mhm.
and see what the universe deliver to you. And you have to claim what kind of relationship that you want to co-create with your future partner, right? Because I believe the universe is gonna, I mean, you met your soulmate in 2 days, but I would not take that as an expectation for somebody else,
No,
because somebody else could be, who knows, 60 days, could be 6 months, could be who knows,
could
we
be an
just don't
hour,
know. It could be
right?
hours,
We
you
don't
say,
know.
we
But the
don't
thing
know.
is, so it's funny, right? Is like, we put this title because we're like, people want to know that. They want to know, oh, how do you do
How
something?
long? How long?
But
How long it's gonna take me?
for the first hour, we got you in here, and it's like, okay, well, you got to do the work. You
Yes.
want that quick manifestation, right? The overnight success. Well, sorry, you got to do the work. That's There you go. Welcome to our world. We're going to give it to you as it is, right? The truth. But you got to do
Mm,
the work. And if it's like you meet somebody and you're like infatuated and you're like, oh,
mm,
emotionally tethered, and you're just like,
mm,
oh, like, oh my God, like, you can feel the difference between something
mm,
stable that
mm,
feels really good versus something that is like a fad. And think
mm.
about it, even like for a lot of the women that I know you work with are very much in like high,
High
C-level
achiever. High
position,
achiever. Yeah.
corporate high achievers, right? So like, think about it this way. You've worked really, really hard in your role at your company. And then when there's a promotion, for example, and
Mm,
you've done the work, you get it. But to
mm,
somebody looking on the outside, they're like, oh my God, she's so lucky. Oh my God, she's,
mm,
wow, everything's like always working out for her. It's like, yes, because
mm,
you're doing the work. You're doing
mm.
the work and you're
Yeah.
showing. So
Yes.
same thing with this, right?
Mm,
Someone can go from $100 to $200,000 raise in a day in one
mm,
conversation.
mm,
You can also find your soulmate in a day, your husband.
mm,
But
mm,
what went behind this,
mm.
behind the curtain
Yes.
when they open?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Important.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that is one side of the story because the relationship is two people. Can you share a little bit more? Maybe not, no need to go deep detail, but what actually Cam, your husband, did before he need to be ready to meet you in that divine moment as well, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking because he's here, and I'm like, oh, he could tell
But
you.
but you mentioned about the soul contract and two of you look at each other and recognize each other instantly, right?
Yeah.
So it could be, the woman doing the work, but the man is not ready. So that is not a divine moment. So
Yeah.
what did he do to actually be ready to meet you and recognize you in that moment?
Well, he had built a really solid relationship with himself, and we were both doing very similar work. He had built a really solid relationship with himself and with God. He was like, for the week before we met, he was essentially camping alone in nature for a whole week by himself. He
Right.
he had actually, and he shared this with me, is like he was just practicing like not being in a relationship, like
Mm,
like not being with any women, because after
mm,
his last relationship he realized, which was very unhealthy and toxic, and it was several years, he's like, I'm gonna just give myself time. I don't want
mm.
to have sex, I don't want to be with anybody, I just want to focus on myself. He was
Right.
learning, he was growing, he was understanding more about his spirituality. Like, he was doing the work to not so much intentionally be like, I'm going to get ready for my woman. That even I wasn't doing that either. I wasn't like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready for my man, but I was doing it for me. And very
Mm,
much he was doing it for him. He was on his,
mm, mm,
following his inspiration and his nudges, right?
mm,
And when we met, it was like because he was practicing holding his life force and his energy with him for so long, and he wasn't just going and like doing whatever with random people. I could feel that too. I was like, this guy's solid. Like, he's not fooling around. Like, he's not here to waste my time. He's not here to just mess around. You can feel the presence of another human who is very like grounded in themselves. And to be completely real, like if someone you meet or you're dating is having sex with a lot of people, doing drugs, drinking alcohol, just oh, like I got to do this and I got, you can feel their energy. It's very all over the place. But when someone is practicing resilience and connecting to themselves, oftentimes it's like the energy, the life force is very consolidated. So it feels very like powerful, and you can
grounded. Yeah.
feel that. And as a woman, like you want to feel safe, as independent as you are. Like, yes, I get it. You want to be a career and be a boss and do that. But in the arms of your husband, in the arms of your man, that's not what he's looking for. And that's not what you need. Right. Like, I'm not like in my relationship trying to dominate him and be like, okay, this is like, I'm not using my masculine energy to be in this relationship. I'm using my feminine energy and he's using his masculine energy to bring harmony and balance. And I think at some point, Anna, I mean, even next week, I feel like we have so much to talk about, but I think we could talk a little bit like very deeply about the divine masculine and feminine energies, because that is a huge thing to uncover, because it's like healthy relationship, like the yin and the yang. Very important, right?
Very important. Yeah.
So in the relationship with him, and when I met him, it was like, because I was just so ready to receive and he was ready to give. It was like the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine, the balance, the harmony. And immediately we like clicked, and it was just like a knowing and a trust. And that was it.
Wow, beautiful. And I want to remind the audience that Casey written the book to actually summarize this journey, right? The journey of basically, how can you manifest a relationship that you truly desire, and encourage you to move from your head into your heart and listen to your intuition. So I'm going to drop the link in the comments so everybody can have that link to download the book.
Perfect. Yeah, you guys, it's a really like it was actually co-created by Cam and I. We worked on it together, and it took us like 3 days, but we were like, we got to get this out. And it's a lot about just like, it talks about our relationship and our journey, but in the book specifically, I talk about one of the hardest times of our life as a couple. Okay. And I'm not going to spoil it here, but we went through a really, really challenging time in 2021 after we got married. And it's probably not what you think. So you should probably read the book. It's a lot of depth and juice in there.
Yes, I agree. It's like you mentioned earlier, it's not about the goal to, oh, can I find a high value man and that is done, that I'm done. No, it's just a beginning. It's just a beginning. Do you have the capability? Do you have the confidence and the courage to nurture and develop that relationship with a very dynamic human being as well?
Yeah.
Right?
You both want to grow. You both want to create. You have your own dreams, and you want to dream. And there's so many new energies and new elements, right? So how do you do that? And I think, again, that's going to be another conversation in our series.
Oh my God. Okay, so that is step 3, like get ready to receive, right? Basically, get ready to receive.
Yeah, you've done the work. Now relax.
Relax, trusting the universe is gonna deliver in the moment that least expected. So be ready.
Be ready and show up to the things that you are called to. If it feels fun, go do it. Not out of desperation. Like, I didn't go to that event being like, I'm gonna meet the man. I'm gonna find him.
I'm gonna find him. Where's him?
No, I'm just like, okay, well, let's go. It might be fun. Listen,
Okay.
go rock climbing, go to somewhere fun.
fun.
Go
Go to the restaurant.
go to the restaurant. Go take yourself on a alone date. That is what I did a lot. I would just go, sit down, have a glass of wine, have a pizza by myself, and just be with myself, right? Like, can you honor your own presence? And then when you do that, like what we said in the beginning, all of a sudden someone else can give to you. So step one is you got to heal the trauma of your past wounds. You have to, especially the parental wounds, you got to have the courage to forgive them and release them so you can live your life. Otherwise,
Yes.
you're always going to control your life, even if they're
Mm,
alive or not, right? In your mind.
mm, mm,
You need to release your parents. They're good.
mm,
Now it's your life.
mm-hmm,
Then
mm-hmm,
you got to find out who you are and
mm,
take actions. Go travel,
mm.
go on a trip, go on
Yeah.
a date, write,
Mm,
journal,
yeah.
be with yourself, be your best friend, hang out. And that's going to
Mm,
be challenging at times, but just do it.
mm,
If you
yeah.
need to cry and you feel sad, cry. Get a coach, get support, right?
Mm.
Do it.
Yes, absolutely.
And then just like get ready to receive. Watch how your life
Mm,
transitions. And
mm,
imagine if you gave yourself a year, right? Like
mm,
to do that,
mm,
how cool would that be?
mm.
Just that
Amazing.
by this time, 2024, next year,
Mm,
I'm going to be the woman that is ready to meet the man of my dreams. Like, how
mm,
incredibly
mm,
transformed would your life begin if you
mm,
forgave your parents, loved yourself, received, trusted God, trusted the universe? All of a sudden, your life would be unrecognizable. And in the process, you'd have fun, you'd be happy, right?
mm.
Your vibration
Yes.
would elevate and you'd meet incredible men. You would stop
Yeah.
seeing all these like low lives who
Mm,
can't add value. You would actually start meeting men who offer value and who love you for who you are because you
mm.
do.
Yes. Yes. Wow. It's powerful. And that is what is my work now to advocate for women because I mean for a long, long time I didn't do any some but not fully choosing myself, right? Because you mentioned about the step one, release emotional baggage from parents and could be from your ex past relationship,
Yeah.
right? All of that baggage, you have to release it so that you can move forward freely.
Yeah.
And the journey to discover who you are, knowing who you are, what you truly want, what you standing up for your life, what kind of relationship you want to co-create, and claim that to the universe that I want this one and I'm ready to receive. That is the work that I advocate for women nowadays because I went through all of that. And it took me, I would say from the moment I wanted to get married when I was 21 years old, I graduated from university. I said, I want to get married. It's like, yes, I'm done with my study now. I'm ready. But it took me a long years, a long, more than a decade to went through all of the painful relationship, from the boyfriend broke up with me 1 month after he got married, till last year being left in the altar for different reason, and then I have to claim and take back control of my love life to say that I no longer want this stuff. If I want, this is my dream. If I want to have a beautiful, loving family, I need to become a woman who have a capability to co-create that beautiful, loving family. And what is the mindset? What is the quality of that woman? And I have to confront myself like, wow, I look at the mirror like, wow, I wasn't ready for the relationship that I truly want. And I have to admit to myself that. And it's no shameful to admit that, but that is so empowering because you can claim back the power because now you can change it. You can change the reality by choosing different habits, like new affirmation, right? New belief, new actions, like new action. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna send an invitation because next Saturday, 19th of August, I'm do 90-minute of webinar for free to really show women, in particular ambitious, independent, successful women, who like high achiever in their career but struggling in the relationship. And if you feel like you are ready to find the one or find a life partner because you are ready to settle down, then I would invite you to join the webinar with me and to transform yourself and be ready to become a highly desirable woman for your dream man.
Amazing. And Anna, you're going to drop that link, right? In
I'm
the
gonna drop that link.
comment.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can register. And here's the thing, right? Like if there's a nudge, oh, like I want to learn, or maybe I could do it. Like that's
Do
the
it.
first. There's like, you
Exactly.
gotta follow the nudges. Like it's gonna
Mm,
like, hey, buddy, hey, do that, do that. Right? That's the universe. That's God. That's your friend being like,
yeah.
look over there. There might be something. You might find a treasure, but you gotta have the courage to do it. Right. So
Yes.
yeah, follow the nudge. If it feels inspired, show up.
Yeah. Show up. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe you listen to this conversation because the universe has guide you.
Yeah, there's no accidents. Like I don't believe that we are like there's any mistakes. Oh, you ended up here at the right time. Yes, but there is a higher purpose. This is
Mm,
leading the path. It's molding the energy, it's shaping you for something greater. So
right.
all you got to do is your 1%. And the universe is
Mm,
the 99%. And our 1% is 100% of our human experience. And if
right.
we just take that 1% and we show up, that
Mm.
is literally all. Like I just showed up to that boat. I just showed up. I did the work to move from point A to point B, and I just showed up. And then there he was. Right?
Mm.
So just show up. Keep showing up.
But you show up also, you dress very pretty. You mentioned
Of
that.
course. Yes.
So don't show up in your pajama.
No. Show up as like a queen. Show up as beautiful. Feel good. I gotta see if I gotta find that photo. There's a photo that Cam and I have of the
Okay.
first day that we met. And it looks
Wow.
like we have been together for like decades in that photo, like years. You're like, oh my God, this is a couple.
Look familiar. Like you look
Familiar.
familiar. Like, feel familiar. Feel familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can find it, or maybe Cam can send it to me. But seriously, like, yeah, if there's anything you want to share, I'm just gonna look for it because I'm gonna show
Right.
you.
I got it is because you that feeling of familiar, even you just met him for seconds, because you claim the relationship that you want, right? You
Mhm.
want that sort of relationship. So when he show up, you just recognize he's the one, he's the man, he's the man. It's feeling familiar. Yeah. But
Right.
you have to do the work to know it, because is you have to experience it to know it, right? It's a knowing is from within.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna drop the photo later. I can't find it right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Cam has it. He's gonna send it to me.
Okay, great. Yeah. If you can say, Casey,
Mhm.
imagine if a woman out there will have a successful career, spend, a lot of years in building her career, but she could experience painful relationship breakup in the past. She could grow up in unhealthy environment, could be in abusive parenting relationship. But she know deep inside she want to love, she want to connect, she want to have a loving family. What would you say to those women?
I would say that the fact that you have a desire to create a loving family that's different than the one you were born in, that's all you need to start. So like if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I know there's something more for me. I know I'm meant to create a healthy, happy home and a loving relationship and a great husband and kids. Like I know that. You're already doing great. Like that's half the battle. People don't realize that they start perpetuating the trauma and they keep doing it without being aware. So the fact that this woman that we're talking to is already aware, that is huge, right? And from there, then she can break the wounds and the trauma, and she can break and heal that intergenerational trauma and create something new. Because here's the thing, Anna, like when we are like looking at healthy relationships and finding our soulmate and looking for our dream man, we're not just like playing around here. This is
No,
like big deal.
big
You're
deal.
for your
Exactly.
entire lineage, you're
Mm,
breaking the
mm,
pattern of trauma and abuse.
mm,
You're saying,
yeah,
I want love. Like I
mm,
don't want that. Like I see that
mm,
that is what, God
mm,
put me into.
mm. Yep.
But I'm not interested. No, thank you. I'm gonna look at this, be grateful because I saw what I don't want, and I'm gonna go and create what I do want. Because
Yes.
my relationship with Cameron is completely different than how, my parents treat each other and how their
Mm,
parents, like, it's totally different. And I'm not saying it's better or worse. Everybody has their own opinions and subject to what they want.
mm,
But for me,
mm,
this is what I want. I want a
mm,
partner who loves to travel, create
mm,
with me, believes in similar things, has a growth mindset, wants children, wants to be conscious. Like, that's what I want.
mm,
That's what I created. So what
mm,
I would say to her is like, keep that big picture in your heart and keep
mm,
led by it, because
mm,
lead and be led by it from love, not from desperation. Because
mm,
you find yourself trying to desperately find a healthy relationship because you don't
mm,
know what your parents have, then you
mm,
haven't healed that trauma yet.
mm,
So
mm,
keep working on that, keep forgiving.
mm,
And then all of a sudden it's like you forgive, and it's like,
mm,
think about like the forgiveness. Think of the trauma as like this tight grab and it just kind of keeps, but as soon as you forgive, it's like space opens up. And when
mm,
space opens up, then it can be filled with love and light,
mm,
joy.
mm.
But if
Yeah.
you're trying to create from this tangled mess,
Mm.
try to
Is
pull
this
somebody in, and it's just going to be messy, right?
is this magnify more the problem, don't you think?
Yes, you magnify more of the energy that you create with. So
Mm,
if even in your businesses, right, like you're creating
mm,
from lack, you're going to
mm,
attract clients that are lack.
mm,
You're creating from abundance, you're creating from serving and value. Oh my God,
mm,
you're gonna have people like knocking at your door wanting to pay you money because you're like, you've helped me. Like, can I just pay you,
mm,
please? Can I pay you more? Opportunities.
mm, mm,
So same like these women that are in high level positions, they know what it takes to make things
mm,
result.
mm,
So
mm,
what if you actually put some energy into nurturing
mm,
a relationship? Because that was the
mm,
thing for me where I was like, oh my God, I've never intentionally created a
mm,
relationship.
mm. Exactly.
And then I did. I said it, and 2 days later, there he was, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Put some energy into your relationship.
Mm,
You
mm,
really nurture it and you'll find it.
mm,
Like, it's not
mm.
rocket science. Like, you're gonna find a great
It doesn't
human.
require a PhD degree.
No, you want a great human who believes
Uh-huh.
in the same things. Great, you got to figure out what you believe in. And then
Uh-huh.
set the intention, do the work, show up to things that you enjoy and you have fun with, and then boom, you'll find someone.
Yeah.
Anyways, I found this photo. Let me share with you.
Okay, let's show it. Wow. Is that the photo on the boat?
Yes,
Wow, look at that.
that was 6 years ago. When we,
Wow, it's you feel so comfortable with each other.
yeah, right? Like,
Wow.
it's like, oh, they've been together for years. And it's like, no, we
Exactly.
took
Very comfortable with each other.
2 hours, maybe 1 hour even.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah. So I wanted to share that because it's a manifestation of that energy
Yes.
that I was talking about. Oh, you're meant to be with me. Come here, let's take a photo. Like, it's like feel that love when you do
Uh-huh.
the work. So
Wow,
yeah.
beautiful. I think we can have more and more different sort of discussions about, feminine, masculine energies, and I want to talk more about um, the relationship with parents is big deal.
Well,
And I
huge.
think many people are not really appreciative of doing that work and how that relationship can affect today relationship with a partner, or the relationship they want to co-create. That is so so important for people to know and to take a proactive action for doing the healing for the relationship they want to co-create in the future. But
Exactly. Yeah.
but let's talk about that in another conversation.
Yes, that sounds like a good idea. We'll deep dive. And then we can even, at one point talk about like, okay, so now you found your partner, like how does that look, right? Because that's
Yeah,
a huge opportunity too, to learn to navigate and grow. So I think
exactly.
we're gonna need to meet. We need to make a list, and we gotta just have all these talks.
Exactly. So if to sum up the conversation today, Casey, is like actually, how you find the one, how you find your soulmate, how you find your partner. is it anything I haven't asked you in that journey that you haven't, you haven't shared? So for the audience to know that you want to share.
I think I think you've asked some really great questions. And as you can tell, we've been going like an hour and a half and we created these 3 phases. So you have been an excellent, excellent interviewer with great questions.
Thank you.
And really, the only other thing I would add to just kind of summarize it in a bow is like, without belief that you're going to find him, you won't.
Mm,
That's it. And you got to listen to your heart and trust that.
mm,
You know,
mm,
your logical brain will
mm.
not help you find him, but your
Wow.
will lead you to him. So you got to trust that. You have to
Mm,
muscle. What does
mm,
your heart want? What does your heart need? Connect to your intuition.
mm,
That energy
mm,
always precedes manifestation. So what that
mm,
means is your energy is going to enter the room before you physically walk into the room. So
mm,
you need to learn how to lead with your energy, right?
mm,
Lead with, like, how does it feel? How does it fit?
mm,
Does it feel
mm,
right? What am I creating? And it's
mm,
like, you don't have to do that, right? Like, it's an invitation, but when you
mm,
do that, life is so much more juicier, more fuller. You start to
mm,
create miracles everywhere, including
mm.
finding your man, having a healthy family, healing
Yeah.
family wounds.
Mm,
So when you find yourself in the moment where you're getting anxious or desperate, like, "Oh, I didn't find him," you're in your head.
mm,
Here, go back
mm,
to belief, right?
mm,
That energy is going to magnetize that human.
mm, mm. Wow. Wow, it's beautiful. And one of the nugget, I love it. And I think is is also the challenge for high driven and highly achiever women is because in their work, right, they operate from the logical mind. They so logical. They so in their masculine energy of achieve, of accomplish, of planning executions, and they bring that same mindset into the relationship. And unfortunately, that doesn't really work because there's the feminine energy, there's a masculine energy in here. And if they want to attract a masculine man, a high value man, somebody they can depend on, somebody can, dance together, dance in here, like building and co-creating a conscious relationship together. Like she need to lean into her feminine energy if that the relationship that she wants. So
Yeah,
the logical mind, as you said, not gonna lead you to him, but your heart gonna guide you toward him.
exactly. And I think that could be, like I said, like a great another conversation for us. Very
Mm,
much, how do you, as a high achieving woman,
uh-huh.
transition that,
Yes.
let that guard down so you can actually be in a loving relationship? Like, how do you
Mm,
do that, right? So that could
yes.
be really fun.
That's gonna be fun
Yeah, oh
and
my God.
confronting and gonna be confronting conversation so for so many women out there.
Yeah, we're gonna do it though. We're gonna push buttons with love so you can find your love. We're
And
advocating for your love.
I think that need to be a next conversation because it's so important.
All right, we'll set it up.
Okay, let's set it
Okay.
up. All
Well,
right.
I thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for the opportunity, Anna. And I know, like I said, this isn't going to be our last one. So, yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing your beautiful journey and, for your vulnerability to sharing all of that, the relationship with your parents, what you did, in the evening and, outside you're superwoman, you are like perfect child, perfect student. And yet in the evening, when you with yourself, you're a different woman. And then you went to Peru, do all the work, listen to your intuition, practice listening to that inner voice, go back home, be ready to receive to meet your soulmate. And that is so beautiful. So
You.
thank you so much and extend my appreciation to your husband.
I will.
Um, I hope to have a conversation with both of you one day.
Oh my God, that would be fun. Yeah, because we can talk about the different sides, right? I think that's really interesting for women to learn about too. Because, like, what's
Yes.
the man thinking? What's
What's
happening on
his
the inside?
thinking? And how you choose each other every day.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Anna. We're gonna have some good conversations. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Casey.
You're
I
welcome.
talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.